Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Life at Leyton Podcast with me, Sarah Glanville, as your host. Here at Leyton UK, we know our people are more than just their job. The careers of our people are part of their unique lives, and who they are as a whole person is what fundamentally contributes to their success and the success of our business. In the podcast, we'll spend time with one of our exceptional people from across the business. And in each episode, we'll look to explore the people behind the job titles, the unique and brilliant stories that make them who they are. On today's episode, we're speaking to Morgan Clough, our Manchester office manager. Morgan is an integral part of the Leyton team, supporting far and wide of the Manchester office. In today's episode, Morgan and I discuss her life as a working mother, the reality of returning to work after maternity leave, and why she chose to move into a new job with Leyton UK at that time. Thank you, Morgan, for sharing your story. And thank you all for tuning in. Grab yourself a coffee and get ready to be inspired by the people that are Leyton UK. Hello, Morgan. Welcome to the Life at Leyton podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm good. It was actually really nice you were up in the Glasgow office this week. It was good to see you in person.
I know, and then I'll be back again next week, which is like an unusual week for me as well, because normally I'm like in the Manchester office every day, but no, it was good.
Good. I am sure that the team in Glasgow is going to be really glad to see you again. It's always nice when you have visitors from other offices.
Yeah, you can see everyone else, yeah.
For sure. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I've really been looking forward to recording today's episode with you. I think to get us started, it'd be really good if you could share a little bit of your journey about what you do for Leyton and what brought you here.
Yeah. So obviously I've been with Leyton probably about 18 months, I'd say now. And I'm the office manager in Manchester. So when I sort of first come to Leyton, I'd just been on maternity leave for I think I'd been off maybe about 10 months. So I had a 9-month-old at this point. So I was just looking for a bit of more of a flexible role, but something that I could still utilise the skills and experience that I'd had in my previous roles, where I'd always sort of got involved with like office events, office like communications, like general sort of office upkeep as well. I felt like that was where my sort of experience was best. But I also wanted to find a really good company that I was able to have the work-life balance. So working part-time for me was just the better option, so I could then go home and look after my little boy. And this role, to be fair, just came along pretty much at the most perfect time. My maternity leave was coming to an end. I wasn't really happy at my old role. Like, it wasn't somewhere that I could see myself long term, really. I worked in recruitment, and it was just a bit, did I see myself going back into like an intense sales role whilst looking after a 9-month-old that didn't really sleep either. So it was just finding a role that I felt would be more me. And this role came up, and it was just very much what I'd done previously, and it was flexible, and I could sort of do the hours that were most suitable for me. So yeah, it just came at a really good time, and then everything just seemed to work out.
Yeah, I think you've obviously picked up on like a really important point, I guess, for you. Your circumstances changed, and you had your little one, and things that were important to you like became really obvious what you were looking for in your next role. So you mentioned like flexibility and a part-time working schedule. So were those the kind of two key things that you were looking for when you were coming back to work after having your little one?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was looking somewhere with part-time hours. That didn't mean that I was necessarily working from like 8 till 6 o'clock at night, and then I was going home and not seeing my little boy. And I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted to be able to finish a little bit earlier, still spend some time with him, and still feel like I wasn't just coming off maternity leave to just go straight back to work and then not spend any time with him. And then so I felt Leyton was flexible in that way, that I could sort of choose the hours I wanted, the days that I wanted, and that if, God forbid, anything did come up, Leyton have always been quite understanding that I've maybe had to leave if Teddy wasn't well, or something like that. So it's all been really good.
Good. We're so glad to have you. You've been a star. So how did you find that, like, navigating, balancing your career aspirations and then raising a family as a working mother? Because obviously you've got new things to consider when the little one comes along.
Yeah, so to be fair, when I first started with Leyton, I was really, really nervous to go back to work after sort of being off for 10 months. And it was literally just me and Teddy pretty much every day. So I was quite nervous of how I would feel leaving him, to then spend majority of my day at work. So when I did start here, I was really nervous, as to whether a company would be understanding of that, of how sort of daunting it can be when you become a mum and then you've had such a long time off to then go back to work, but you still want a career at the same time. But everyone was very, very, very understanding. I remember on my first day, everyone was checking in on me all day, asking me how I was. And even for months after, if I was ever sort of feeling overwhelmed, everyone would be like really, really supportive. But I think so far it's been good. Like, I started with Leyton, just doing 20 hours a week as the office manager, whereas I now do 30 hours a week, and I've sort of support the talent development team as well. So I feel like that's sort of, my career is progressing through that. Where it'll go, I don't know, but it's one of them. I feel like it's moving in a good direction.
And was that, I guess, the development in your role and the increase in your hours, was that something that you were actively pushing for once you got your feet settled?
Yeah, so I started on 20 hours, and then I sort of knew as Teddy got a bit older, I thought this is getting easier, and I knew I didn't want to just become a mum and then not have a career. I knew I always wanted to still keep my career. So yeah, I pushed for that, and then I just kept pushing for it, and then I gradually just got more and more. Yeah. And obviously this year I will go back on maternity leave, so hopefully then when I come back, I can carry on where I left off.
Yes, you've dropped your news in. I was wondering if it was going to come up. So you're having another little one?
Yeah, so I find out next week if it's a boy or a girl, but yeah, I'm having another baby in August.
I'm so excited for you. And I guess now's a good time to ask now, like, you have been, how are you feeling second time round? Like, you mentioned you were nervous coming back after Teddy, and like, are you feeling like that might come up again, or are you feeling like much more confident in how things are going to go?
I feel like I don't know. I was actually speaking with Brian in your office yesterday, because I was like, he basically said to me, two kids is like 4 kids, and I was like, oh wow. And it's one of them. I don't know, but I feel like when I was on maternity leave last time, I never got like maternity pay. There was never really much support, whereas I feel like the good thing here is I'm sort of a bit settled to know that 6 months I'll get full maternity pay, and I feel like that's something not a lot of employers actually provide, and I feel like it's really rare to come across that. So that's something that I feel should ease any worry that I have. But I feel like coming back to work, I think everyone's so nice in the Manchester office. Like, they make coming to work a lot nicer. Like, we all get on so well. So hopefully the second time round it'll just be as easy as the first, I hope.
Yeah, I think, it's clear that it's so important that the environment that you're coming back into and that is supporting you through your pregnancy as well is
yeah, definitely.
The business is set up to be supportive, and is set up to be, that word flexible. Like, you obviously being able to increase your hours a little bit, but knowing that there's that flexibility and support within the business for you is just going to take such a weight off, as well as the financial pressures with the great family-friendly policies that we have. So I guess, what factors did you consider when choosing a career path and work environment that would support you in your role as a parent? Like, you did look for a role that had similar skill sets, things that you'd done before, but you did transition out of a recruitment role into office management.
Yeah, so to be fair, when I knew that I didn't want to go back to recruitment, I was a bit unsure of what my career path would actually be. Like, I'd worked in recruitment for like 4 years, and then previous to that, I'd done like an office admin manager kind of role. So it was one of them. It's been quite 2 different roles, but being a first time mum was obviously something really new to me. But I just knew that I still wanted to be able to come to work and like provide, and then one day, keep stepping up the career ladder. I didn't want to not do that anymore. So I'm quite lucky that I found a company that have given me the opportunity to do that, but then also I can still take the time off to have a baby, and then hopefully come back and still continue to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. How did you know when you were going through the recruitment process with Leyton, finding out about the job that they wanted you to do and meeting the people in the business? How did you know that the environment was going to be supportive? How did it feel like it was the right next step for you?
Yeah, I feel like on the interview process, both the recruiter and my manager at the time were both really nice. I feel like the company just sounded like a really good company to work for. I'd obviously looked the company up, and it's obviously a massive company as well. I feel like that's always a good thing. At the point of me getting recruited, I've not met anyone in the Manchester office, so I didn't really know what I was expecting on my first day, but everyone was just so nice, and it was something that I just knew I'd made the right decision.
Yeah, good. We obviously spoke about our family-friendly policies, in particular our enhanced maternity pay, which is fantastic and is, not enough employers, I think, are supportive in that way and able to offer the financial support that we do here at Leyton. How important is it to find family and friendly employers? And I guess if you were speaking to other first-time mums or other working mothers out there, what characteristics would you say that they should be looking for in potential workplaces?
Yeah, no, it is definitely the family-friendly policies, like I say, the maternity pay, even the paternity pay as well. It's something not very many companies do. And I think when you're expecting a child, or even not even expecting, if like in the future you want children or things like that, it's good to have a company that recognises that how difficult it can be if you go on maternity or paternity leave, and then your finances obviously change. So I think it is good that we've got those policies, and even like the working at home, flexible working. I think I can imagine that helping a lot of parents as well, being able to work at home, or if they've got to leave to pick the children up, or if the children are poorly, which is the inevitable when you've got young kids. They're always getting poorly. So I think Leyton has been a good workplace for that. There's been a couple of times I've had to say Teddy's not very well, and it's just always been so understanding. I think it's just finding like an understanding manager, an understanding team, having like a good working relationship with your manager and your team. Like it's just, I think it's all about like the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of our family friendly policies is probably something that you're making use of now with your current pregnancy, but we do a lot of support to make sure you're supported through the pregnancy process as well, with visits to the hospital and to see the midwife and stuff. So how have you found that?
Yes, I mean, so far I've not had many appointments, but any appointments that I have been, my manager's been obviously very understanding, checking in on me, making sure I'm okay. And then obviously what comes with pregnancy, sometimes it's not a good side at the beginning when you're not feeling well, and it's like you're tired all the time, your sickness and things like that can be tough, and it's something that people I don't think talk about. Especially in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, you don't tend to tell anyone that you're pregnant. So I think having that where you are poorly or you are tired or you're just not feeling great, which isn't what you expect, I suppose, when you get pregnant. You expect to have this amazing feeling, and it's just not always like that. But HR and like my manager have been so understanding of that if I've not felt well or if I needed to go to a midwife appointment or like a scan or anything like that. Yeah, it's been allowed.
Awesome. That's great. What advice would you give to other working mothers who are seeking to strike a balance between their careers and their family life?
I think it's finding a good employer and obviously surrounding yourself with good co-workers, that sort of, if you are nervous about going to work or if you are struggling with like leaving your baby for the first time or being around good people, I think is the main thing, because then they can pick you up if you're feeling a bit down, or like the same with your employer, as long as they're understanding of your position, then that's good. Yeah.
And I think for you in particular, you decided you didn't want to maybe return to your previous employer. You knew you were looking for something different. And then you were a little bit nervous about obviously walking into a brand new job when you were coming back from maternity leave. So any advice for people who might be in a similar situation?
I mean, I think for me, I was very, very nervous. I remember coming in on my first day like, oh my God. But I think you've just got to give yourself time as well. I think going from being off for so long to going back to work is always going to be difficult. So I think giving yourself time and not putting too much pressure on yourself to get into a role on your first day back and have it all together, because you're most likely probably not going to, and it does take you time time to find your feet. So I think it's just time and patience, being like positive and just having a good, for me, I'm quite lucky here. Everyone in this office, even if I've ever come in like sort of, I've not slept at night because Teddy's not slept or anything like that, everyone's always so lovely and so nice, and we all get on so well, which I think just makes it better. So I think anyone sort of coming off maternity leave or going on maternity leave worried about that should always just surround themselves with good people as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case in and outside of work as well. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure the people outside of work are massively supportive of
Yeah.
you, that allows you to come to work and do your thing.
Yeah, like I'm quite lucky. Like Teddy goes to nursery 3 days a week, and then we've got like my parents, my partner's parents who help out. So I'm quite lucky that we're able to work but still have that family life as well.
Yeah. I didn't actually prep you for this question, Morgan, but I know that often a phrase that I hear when talking to working mothers is like mum guilt and balancing that side of things as well. So how do you, have you felt that yourself, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, see, to be fair, I still feel that now. Like, you know, like obviously I came to Glasgow the past 2 days. I was like, oh no, I'm leaving him, and I was ringing him, messaging my partner, making sure he was okay all the time. And it is difficult. I don't even know if I would love to say that goes, but I feel like Teddy's 2 now, and that's still not good. I think it just gets easier, because you know everything that you're doing is to make a better life for them, and you know, to provide for them, take them on nice holidays, do things with them, like making memories and things like that. So I think sometimes when you know you've got to work and you'd love to just stay with them, as hard as it is, you also know you have to work. But the mum guilt can be difficult. I'm hoping it doesn't double when I have to, but
hopefully that's not how it works.
no.
I think as well, it's like anything, you're always your best self when you get to like be yourself. So when you get to have a wee bit of time, you know, focusing on something that brings you a lot of fulfillment and working and getting a lot back from that side of things, I'm sure that you're able to turn up, you know, as a role model for Teddy, and you turn up as your best self.
Yeah, and I think I would always want to teach like Teddy and obviously my new baby that working is a good thing. Like, it's good to have like a good work ethic and the motivation to want to go to work, even though some days I'm sure most people think, oh, I'd love to not go in today, or you know, they've had a bad night with the kids and think this isn't. Sometimes you wish you wasn't working, but I think it is a good thing to be able to have like a bit of adult time as well. I think it's easy to get stuck in sort of just wanting to be with your children. I remember when Teddy was first born, I used to take him everywhere, literally everywhere with me, to like my hairdresser's appointments, my nail appointments, like the gym. I'd find a gym where I could take him. And then I sort of then realised I needed adult time as well to be able to then be a better mum for him.
Yeah. I think you're smashing it, Morgan.
Thank you. I hope
so. We've spoke a little bit already about family-friendly policies and everything, but what do you think, you know, when you're looking at employers, and we've went through a huge period of enhancing all our family-friendly policies whilst you've been in the business, what are some effective strategies for people within a business if they want to advocate for more family-friendly policies and practices within the workplace? Would you have any advice for someone if they're not seeing, I guess, their employer be as supportive as they could be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really difficult because I feel like coming into Leyton, to be fair, is one of the first companies I've ever worked for that do sort of enhanced maternity pay or like the family-friendly policies. So I think it is. I mean, I don't know why in this sort of day and age why it's so rare, but I feel like it is, and I feel like a lot of companies should realise that if someone's putting their sort of time, their efforts, their motivation, their hard work into your company, that giving them that little bit back while they're on maternity leave or they're on paternity leave, that could give them some comfort and reassurance of knowing that everything will be okay while they're off. Is nothing compared to what that person would give back to you if they was to stay with you for like 10 years, for example, or even less, 5 years. So I do think it is all about finding a good employer and having somewhere that recognises that sort of hard work and then wants to sort of appreciate that by giving you that time back and sort of taking that stress away from you.
Yeah, it's supporting people through what's, arguably one of the biggest